I'm here with Chris Ammonds after the shareholders meeting this evening. Bad news at the start. There's quite a loss from last season.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, isn't it? But we felt we better come out proactively and let people know exactly where we were in terms of the financial accounts or the financial position at the end of the last financial year, which ended on May the 31st. And the figures that we will be putting forward to be audited are recording essentially a loss of around £45,000, which is clearly disappointing. You don't want to be making a loss. But that is the position where we are. The key thing is, since those figures have been known, we've done a real exercise in terms of trying to put things right, if you like, and trying to make sure that we never find ourselves in this position again. And over the course of the last couple of months, there's been a lot of work done, again, to try and remedy the situation. Prior to that, even, there was the reduction in the playing budget and the management budget that's previously been spoken about. There's a 20% reduction in that compared to last season, and there's been a lot of work going on to make sure we don't find ourselves in this position again, because clearly this loss comes off the back of 2, 3, 4 years of losses prior to that, so it was a serious situation.
Yes, because over the past four years, I think it was mentioned that the losses of this club have been now come to over £600,000, which is horrendous figure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I said in the meeting, I'm not particularly comfortable talking about things that have gone on prior to my arrival, because I've got no insight into things that happened. But clearly it doesn't take a rocket scientist, I'm certainly not one, to work out that type of thing can't continue. So we're quite pleased, it might be the wrong word, that the work that we've done over the last couple of months and the sort of efficiencies that we've sought out and found at this stage, at this early stage of this financial year, are hopefully pointing towards us making a potential profit of between 40 and 50,000 for this financial year. Clearly there's a long way to go, and our predictions are very cautious because we think they need to be given our situation. But I think, we are pleased, if you like, with the work that's been done in the last couple of months, and I hope by putting those figures out there, it does offer some reassurance that the board is aware of the severity of the situation and is acting to make sure there is no long-term concern about the future of the club.
Hopefully in this 12 months turnover will be up, and the playing budget I think has been reduced a little bit, but maybe not quite as much as we initially thought. How do you see things really going? We've had a good start, attendances are good, etc.
The attendances have been really, really pleasing. We're really grateful for it. Clearly there was a real buzz in pre-season about everything, and people were getting right behind. Season ticket sales were fantastic, and the attendances have held up really well. It's been a frustrating time on the field, I think, for everybody, because we've been hamstrung by the injuries. But I was particularly heartened by the crowd last Saturday against Bishop Stortford, because it came off the back of a couple of not great results in the league prior to that. But I don't think I'd have declared 2-2-2-2 personally, being a cricket person, but I was really pleased with that attendance. I thought that held up really well, and hopefully gives a good sense of things to come. And and people coming through the door to watch the games will always make an enormous difference. It'll always probably be the most important thing for any football club. So as things begin to settle down on the field, and hopefully we begin to get some bodies back, and we begin to see the team that I think Paul maybe envisaged at the start of the season, things will hopefully continue. But I think the important thing to say is our predictions and our forecasts for the crowds for the rest of the season are really, really cautious. We are not kidding ourselves that we're guaranteed to keep getting gates of more than 2,000. Our predictions are really, really cautious, 20% even down on last year's sort of income from home games. So, hopefully that's an unrealistic figure in a good way, and things will be better. But we just think that's the right thing to do given the position.
Mention of the length of the lease on this ground was made tonight. It's only got something like 8 years to go. Are we in negotiation to extend it? What's the position? Because you also talked tonight about improvements to the floodlights, possibly having a borehole here to get your own water as opposed to paying massive amounts for water. But you can't really do that if your lease is only 8 years. No,
that's exactly right. There are several things that we'd like to look at doing if we could do, but that is dependent on getting a longer lease. I have got a meeting arranged with the council. It was due to happen in September, but it got postponed. You know, just one of those things, but it's now going to happen in October. Darren has already had some really good meetings just more generally about the Blackfriars End and the plans for the Blackfriars End and what the timescales they're looking at, and they've seemed to have gone really positively, and at some point I'm sure there'll be more news, whether that's from us or the council on that, but yeah, no, I'll have my first sit down with the council in October and hopefully get a real sense of going, and I, you know, it'll be my job to say to them, listen, you know, if we can get this lease extended, then we have some real opportunities out there to improve the facilities here at Edgar Street and help the financial aspect of the club as well.
And finally, I think you've been chairman now the best part of 6 months, yes. Believe it or not.
Is that right? Feels much longer.
I thought it might. What have you found the most difficult part? Perhaps something you didn't foresee.
I shouldn't have been surprised by the level of interest and how busy the club is and how much there is to do, because clearly I worked here for a year in the first year, but I have been again taken by surprise how much there is. I know I have very certain strengths and my skills in certain areas, which is why I felt it was really important to bring people in to support me. You know, George Webber's come back in on the commercial side, has put in huge amounts of work already to try and understand the commercial operation and the bars and events side. Obviously I've got Peter here, the financial director, and he's very important to me as well, because I don't have experience in those areas, or a great deal of experience. I'm very much someone who tries to operate a common sense policy, but I'm also not someone who tries to kid everybody on that I know about things that I don't know about, and I think that in itself might be one of my strengths. But I have, I think the surprise is quite how much there is to do, how many elements there are to this business. I don't think unless you're actually inside it, you'd find it very difficult to realise how much there is going on. And there's always something, you think you've broken the back of something, and something else crops up, and you think, oh, you sort that out, and you think, oh, I'm going to take a step back, and then something else, and it just goes on and on like that. We're very lucky to have such, we've got a small team of admin staff here who know the business inside out and do a great job. What I think they've needed is perhaps some more leadership, some more guidance, and a direction of travel, and I think that's what we're trying to put in place, and they've been brilliant and they've bought into that. I don't think it's been easy for them, because there's been a lot asked of them and changing ways they've previously done things, but led by Jamie Griffiths in the office, they've all embraced what we're trying to do, and I think they realise the importance of trying to streamline the business and making sure it is the very best it can be. And the better it can be and the more streamlined it is, the more it allows us hopefully to free up money to invest in the football side. And at the end of the day, we're all football fans, Graham. That's what we go, and that's where it's got to go.
And what's the most enjoyable part of it?
Winning. I'm a good winner.
Winning.
I'm a pretty bad loser, but you do get to go back to being a fan for the 90 minutes in some ways. Although you do have far more concerns about every single tackle than I ever used to when I was just sat in my normal seat. Now you cringe at every tackle, and if anybody stays down a split second longer than you want them to, you're panicking.
Cost us money.
But yeah, no, and that's it. And actually, the people are great still. The fans generally are fantastic. We've got a really good group of lads in terms of the playing side. The staff are great, as I said. Paul's been a fantastic person to bring in. I think he remains the right person. I think we've gone for the right person. He's been hamstrung incredibly, but hasn't moaned and whinged about it. He's just kind of got his head down and got on with it. So yeah, I think generally we've got ourselves to a decent place. There's a lot more work to do, but I'm beginning to feel more positive about the direction we're going in.
Thank you.